We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome this morning. Another morning edition, I should add, to the NASCAR Fantasy Podcast as we're getting things started here today, just a few hours before the start of Road America's Cup race. First time that the NASCAR Cup Series has been to Road America since the mid 1950s. So definitely not a lot of recent track history to go off of Cup racing, but there is some track history we're going to go over from the Xfinity Series, not only yesterday, but of course in recent years. Xfinity Series has been running there for a little over a decade now, consecutively. Some drivers have some experience here, some drivers do not. We'll take a look at how the practice times worked out, and of course, the predictions on my predictions. Who you guys should have in your lineup for today? Who is maybe some possible garage picks that you could have, some sleeper picks for today's race as well, and of course the guys to completely stay away from, have the full predictions for each and every one of those drivers as well. So like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We're going to get into this one at my hotel room. I will be at Road America later today, so if you see me, say hi. But regardless of that, we'll hop right on into the predictions pretty quickly because I want to get to the track before qualifying starts. Got about 2 hours before qualifying starts right now, and I'm about 45 minutes away. So, yeah, Cody Hicks Mebo, welcome to the stream. And welcome everybody else that is going to hop. Again, we haven't had that many people watching in the morning edition of the stream. This is the only way I'm able to get it out before I actually go to the racetrack because I've been going to the last few races. So bear with me on that one. I will be back in my home for the next couple races. So you will have the traditional couple hours before the start of the race, and we'll do it. But for right now, we'll start off with the don't haves as we usually do. These are two drivers that you should absolutely stay away from. Their recent statistics, not only on road courses, but especially when it comes to this season in general, don't really lie into it. And it's probably guys you guys probably won't think of. We're going to start off with Christopher Bell. I'm not very high on Christopher Bell right now. He's only got one top 10 in the last 11 races if you include the All Star race. Now, I know his only win, I got to mute that. I know his only win this season came on a road course at the Daytona road course in the second race of the season. But if you look at his finishes outside of the Daytona road course so far this year, which I got to pull back up again because I left it. He got in that incident at Coda, but he was running just outside the top 10 when that accident took place in stage two. So it wasn't like he was contending for a win by any means. Not only contending for a win, but I mean, he was running decent, but he wasn't really in position to get stage points either. Ended up with a 38th place finish at the end of the day. Finishes all that ends up mattering. It's in the midst of this really rough stretch. Again, only one top 10 in recent races. Last weekend at Pocono, he was 17th and 32nd. So not again, no great momentum. His best finish is ninth at Nashville in that 11th race stretch. It's the only top 10 he's got in that stretch. He was also 24th at Sonoma this season. Did not run very well at all there. I think he wrecked a couple of times too. So starting to show maybe his sophomore slumps in the middle of the 2021 season. R6, welcome to the stream at least. I wish he had 250K. I wish so too, man. That'd be pretty cool. But hey, thanks. I appreciate the time, effort that you guys put into watching as much as I put into the channel with you guys watching my videos. It definitely means a lot. So again, to go back to Christopher Bell, he does have a win in the Xfinity Series at Road America, but again, the Cup Series is a completely different animal. Those cars race completely different from the Xfinity Series cars. We've seen that in the past. You could take the success that you would have in the Xfinity Series if it translates to Cup as well. But for Christopher Bell's sake, it just doesn't seem to be the case. He's very inconsistent. So I am a no-go on Christopher Bell. I don't think you guys should put him in your lineup. There's far better options to put in. If you're looking for maybe another sleeper pick, I'll give you three, maybe even four of them that you could potentially pick over Christopher Bell. I know he won the Daytona road course this season, but I mean, outside of that, his Cup Series stats on road courses are not good, including this year. Again, his best finish this season between Sonoma and Coda was 24th at Sonoma, and then again 38th at Coda. Next driver to stay away from is a driver you wouldn't obviously think for a road course per se, but it's going to be one of the teammates of Christopher Bell, and I'm going to have Martin Truex Jr. on spot. Do not put Martin Truex Jr. in the lineup today. By the way, predictions for Bell, I do not think he gets a top 10 again, making it one top 10 in a 12 race stretch after today. And I don't think Martin Truex Jr. is going to get a top 10 either. He's got one top 10 on any of the road course races this season. That was a third at Sonoma, but Sonoma is one of his best tracks overall, not just a road course. His finishes outside of Sonoma on these road courses. He also got in that same accident Christopher Bell was involved in back at Circuit of the Americas. But again, even in that race, they unloaded. They were outside the top 10 in qualifying. They were outside the top 10 in practice, and they were running outside the top 10 at the time of that accident. So it wasn't like the accident took him out of a good finish. He was not running good in the first half of that race up until that point. Obviously, we wouldn't find out. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. But you could go both sides of the spectrum there. Martin Truex Jr. has also been struggling mightily as of late. He's only got one top 10 finish himself if you include the All-Star race in the last 8 races. So his best finish again is Sonoma. That's the only top 10 in the last 8 races for him. His finishes outside of Sonoma are 11th, 18th at Pocono, 22nd at Nashville, 13th at Texas, Charlotte 29th, again, Coda we mentioned 35th, and 19th at Dover. His other finish on another road course this season at the Daytona road course, he finished 12th. And remember, he wrecked while leading in the Daytona road course clash race as well. So finished dead last in that one. Not a very good set season for Martin Truex Jr. as of late, and not that great on road courses either. All things considered, I would have said going into the season he is probably a top 5 driver on road courses, and may still very well be, but they are struggling with the road courses this season. If we look at the practice times from yesterday as well to add on to, Truex, well, I would have changed my opinion if he would have unloaded fast. In practice yesterday, he was 19th. Again, they are unloading slow at these road course races this season. So 19th yesterday in practice for Martin Truex Jr. in the Cup Series. That was similar to where he was at Coda. He was outside the top 10 in qualifying and practice. If he's outside the top 10 in qualifying, I definitely say Martin Truex Jr. is a no-go, and I do not think he gets a top. Even if he qualifies like barely into the top 10, I do not trust that 19 team right now. And again, the road course stats go to prove it this season. It's not a driver you would consider 9 times out of 10. You would probably start him on a road course, and I did the first couple road courses of the season. But outside of Sonoma, he has not showed it. I'm looking at Road America, very similar to Coda. I think the drivers you saw lead laps and run up front at Coda are going to run up front here because it's a new road course for the Cup Series, and there was practice and qualifying leading up to the race. Plus, we did see some drivers in the Xfinity race that were Cup Series regulars that are running tomorrow that also ran the Xfinity Coda race and then got some track experience. And we'll get into maybe one of those drivers or a couple of those drivers a little bit later. So again, Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell are the don't haves for this week. I do not think either one of those two are going to get a top 10 today. Sleeper picks. These are guys that not only I think are going to get top 10s, but can contend possibly for the win under the right circumstances. We're going to start off with Chip Ganassi Racing's number one car, driver of the number one car, Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch was fastest in practice yesterday. Not only that, but his road course stats this season have been pretty good. He finished 4th at the Daytona road course at the beginning of the year. He finished 6th at Sonoma. His only finish outside the top 10 on a road course was at Coda, which, remember, he was battling his brother Kyle Busch at the time for 3rd place when he almost slid into the back of him in the rain. He made that very good wreck avoidance, but it costed him a lot of time because he ended up in the gravel. And literally a couple laps after he did that, they ended up calling the race for the torrential downpour it was. So if it wasn't for that, he probably would have had a top 5 at Coda as well. He was just a couple laps away from it. So I'm very high on Kurt Busch today. I think he gets a top 10. And honestly, considering he was fastest in qualifying yesterday, I think he's got a good shot to qualify on the pole here today. I still think he's going to qualify up towards the front. That means a lot at road courses. He also will be one of the drivers that will likely be going for stage points. He's only 3 points above the cutoff line on Chris Buescher coming into today. So he's not going to be one of those drivers that you get to the end of the stage and you're going to see him sacrifice stage points and try to pit. I think Kurt Busch is going to take those stage points. So there's a very real expectation that he could not only score a lot of stage points, but maybe even win a couple stages today as well, considering he's going to have the track position. He's already unloaded with a very fast race car. He's got great road course success this season in particular. So I look for Kurt Busch to have a great day today. Very good fantasy start, in my opinion. Again, he'll have the stage points. I'd be shocked if they pitted and sacrificed stage points, considering they're only 3 points above the cutoff line. Unless they think they can win today's race. But again, that's a very big risk considering the situation he's in with just 7 races until the playoffs. I think Kevin Harvick or Joey Logano is a must have. I will say one of those drivers is a must have on my list when we get there for sure. Blaney is an okay driver. I think yeah, that's accurate. He's won. He's not great, by any means, but he's consistently top 10 in points every year. Um, he wins one race every year, which is more than what you could say for some other drivers. So yeah, he get the most out of his equipment? No, but at the same time, he's not a bad driver by any means, and he's still young. He can progress forward, much like what we're seeing with a lot of the young drivers here over the last few years. Bowman's finally starting to blossom. I thought this was going to be the year Blaney and Bowman were going to start to progress, maybe a little bit more. But I think a lot of people probably thought that too. Blaney did get one win very early in the season at Atlanta, but beyond that, he's still getting good finish. See, I mean, that's just kind of career, really. Wrong timing cautions. Um, in the races he's dominated, and then the races he wins are races he has not dominated by any means. So it's kind of weird. It's like if he would have won the races he had dominated and not won the races he shouldn't have won, then he'd probably have the same amount of wins anyway. So it kind of goes on to the spectrum. So to say he has, his all of his wins were cheap, he put himself in that position first and foremost. And then second of all, he has dominated. Look at Martinsville this year. He won the first 2 stages at Martinsville, led over 200 laps, but then they had that pit road penalty that wasn't his fault. They got the hose caught underneath the front tires when the jack dropped on the final pit stop and took equipment out of the box. So that was a penalty. That wasn't his fault. So sometimes it is his fault and sometimes it's not, and that was out of his control that day. But sorry, I'm talking about Blaney here. I didn't plan on talking about him today, but he does always run good when I see him in person. It seems like I was at Pocono for the doubleheader last weekend. He finished fifth and sixth both races. The only races I can think of is Nashville. He DNF'd, and then he DNF'd at one of the Talladega races. I saw him racing. I have not seen him win before, and this is going to be my 21st Cup race, so he's due there. But I don't think he's going to win today, but I think he can definitely have a top 10 run. That's not my predictions for him because I wanted to leave him off the list today. But I wouldn't be surprised if he got a top 10. He's a pretty good road course racer. He's won on a road course too. I think I must have. Oh, yeah. Okay. I already read that. Well, next stream after this is going to be later tonight. I have no start time for it. It depends, what time I get back from the racetrack later today. I'm going to do some souvenir shopping while I'm down here too, or up here, I guess, too. So I'm not sure, but we will run the Coke 600 for the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode, the full race, so it'll be a long one later tonight. Um, Probably this evening by the start time. I don't think it's going to be too late at night, especially with that race. Got to get the whole thing in. But yeah, thanks for asking. Also, with the sleeper pick, I'm very high on Kurt Busch, as you can tell. Michael McDowell is another driver I'm very high on. He also has had great road course success, specifically this season. This has been the breakout year for Michael McDowell after winning the Daytona 500. You can definitely tell that a lot of the money that he had won, they had put solely into that 34 car. It has shown this year he has really blossomed. He's got 5 top 10s this season, a couple of them on road courses. At the Daytona road course earlier this year, he ended up finishing in 8th place. He also finished at 6th in the next road course race at Coda. And then he ended up at Sonoma was running in the top 10 last lap, last turn when Daniel Suarez turned him. So looked like he was going to have three top 10s in all three road course races this season, but he got turned in the last lap of the last corner at Sonoma by his rival Daniel Suarez. So I'm very high on Michael McDowell. The only thing I'm worried about is that they did not unload very quickly for today's race. They were 17th in practice, or no, sorry, they were 23rd in practice. But I do think that not only, I mean, just like Truex, he's good enough, but they've had the success on road courses this year where Truex really has not outside of Sonoma. Michael McDowell's been fast on all three road course races. Doesn't matter, what track, what type of road course it is, high elevation changes, low, flat elevation changes. It really doesn't matter. So McDowell is definitely one to look out for there. Also, McDowell does have success at Road America in a NASCAR uh, stock car, specifically in the Xfinity Series. He won in 2016 at Road America in the Xfinity Series race, led the most laps in that race as well. And he also finished second back in 2012 as well, and again, leading a lot of laps in that race. So I do expect Michael McDowell to run well. He's got great track chemistry at this place. And again, the Xfinity Series can only translate to the Cup if you can run well in the Xfinity Series and run well in the Cup Series at those particular racetracks or just in general. And for Michael McDowell, he is able to do that on road courses for sure. So I am definitely high on McDowell. There's a good chance he's going to be in my lineup today, and I think he's a good sleeper pick. Another sleeper pick, and this is going to be the final one I'm going to talk about, is going to be AJ Allmendinger. AJ Allmendinger won two stages in yesterday's Xfinity race. He also won at Mid Ohio in the Xfinity race last month in June. I was there for that one. Epic three wide pass, but he was running in the top three all day. It looked like he might have had the fastest car throughout. Just never really got the track position because of a pit road penalty, which again wasn't his fault. But anyway, in both Cup starts this year, his only two Cup Series starts have been on road courses. Not on every road course. He did not start at Sonoma because he was racing in Mid Ohio that week. And again, he won the Mid Ohio Xfinity race. But in the other two road course races, he finished fifth and seventh in both of those races. Seventh at the Daytona road course, fifth at Coda. He led some laps at Coda as well in the Cup Series. So very high on AJ Allmendinger's only career Cup win again came at Watkins Glen back in 2014 as well. So I do think he is easily going to get a top 10 today. He unloaded quick. He was seventh in practice. I assume he's going to qualify top 10 today as well. So look out for AJ Allmendinger to maybe even contend for the win here in this one. So again, Allmendinger, Kurt Busch, Michael McDowell, I think they all get top 10s, maybe even contend for a win for a couple of those guys. And I think Mark Truex Jr. and Christopher Bell are complete don't-haves. Do not put them in your lineup because I think that they are not going to get a top 10 and maybe even run outside the top 10 throughout most of the race. Tyler Burbeck, welcome to the streams. Chase Briscoe sleeper pick. He's I can't do it. For one, I think the three drivers I just named for sleeper picks are your best three options for sleepers. And that's why I, had those are my top three. So I'm gonna only really talk about those guys. But because you mentioned it, I want to put Chase Briscoe in there. But Stewart-Haas Racing is just so inconsistent. And I know road courses can maybe prove otherwise. And Briscoe does have a top 10 on a road course this year, but he's only got one top 10 on a road course. He finished top 10 at Coda. The other two road courses, he was nowhere near the top 10. So again, that just goes with the inconsistency Stewart-Haas Racing's had this year. So I'm not very high on Chase Briscoe today. If he gets a top 10, it's not really proving me wrong because I think he can do it, but it's just not a consistent enough of a pick. Again, those three guys I just named, they either look fast this week, especially like Kurt Busch, and he's had the road course success this year. AJ Allmendinger included in that, or like Michael McDowell, he has success at this track in the past, and he's been great on the road course races this season. I got more faith in those guys than what I do Chase Briscoe. Same with Ross Chastain. He has just been inconsistent. If he stays out of trouble, now he did get a top 10 at Coda, and he was like a wild man in that race, and he could be a wild man in this race and get a top 10. But you gotta take care of your equipment, especially when you're below the cutoff line. He's got to be more conservative. Pocono last week was a huge red flag. Both races, he was just way too aggressive. If he just would have, raced his own race, not as aggressively as he did, he would have came home with top 15 finishes. Which I know maybe that's not what he's looking for below the cutoff line. But when you're losing points because you're finishing outside the top 20 or 30th because you have a wrecked race car, that you're obviously losing more points than what you would have if you would have just taken the top 15. So, um, if he runs a smart race today, I think he could. I don't think he's going to contend for the win, but I think he can get a top 10 run today. But again, just like those other guys, I'm just not as confident in Chastain as what I am those other three for sleeper picks. Um, and then Austin Cindric is another guy. Yes, he's got a ton of success in the Xfinity Series. Actually, won an Xfinity Series race here at Road America before, but I don't trust him because his Cup Series stats this season haven't been that great on the road course races he has run. He's only ran two of them. Again, he did not run Sonoma, but uh, or actually, hang on. I don't think he has even ran. Man, no, I'm not even gonna find him on here. I'd have to Google search. I was just looking at it. His best finish in the Cup Series this season was in the Daytona 500 when he finished 15th. I can't remember what all road courses he's ran this year, and I know he led laps at Coda, but he didn't get the finish. It's like he led laps because he was so good on the short run, and then after like 5 laps, he was dead in the water. He just did not have the car. And some of it could have been the car, but some of it also could have been him over driving the car early in the run. That's why he was so good instead of pacing himself to get a top 10. He was pushing so hard for the win that day, and it ended up costing him a good finish in the process. He's not running for points, so it wasn't like it was like a huge loss. Um, but again, Xfinity can only translate the cup if the stats, prove in both. And it's not proven in both. Again, 15th in the Daytona 500, 22nd at Atlanta, 28th at Richmond, 22nd at Kansas, 22nd at Coda. Coda, again, being the only, or sorry, 25th at Coda. And those are the only races he's ran in the Cup Series, but still, you know, that 25th place finish. And he had a race winning car on a short run, but when it came down to like a long run, he was nowhere near top 10 cars. So I just don't trust Cindric today. He was third in practice too. So again, he looks quick, at least for the short run this week. We'll see if he can, if he could save his tires throughout the longevity of a full green flag run, because I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that today with this being a 4 mile road course. Now into the must-haves here quickly, because I still got to get my continental breakfast, and then I am going to head to the racetrack so I can catch qualifying in person. Can't hold back AJ Allmendinger. He is a road course ringer. He is a must-have. Yeah, I mean, he's basically a must-have, but I just put him as a sleeper because he's not a Cup Series regular, so it fills up one of those sleeper spots. Plus, these three drivers are must-haves. If you have them, use them. Now, one of these drivers, and I guess I'll talk about him first, I'm not going to put in my lineup, but that's only because I have one usage left out of him, so I don't want to use it this weekend. I know there's a couple other tracks I definitely want to use him at, or think about using. I can only use him in one, but that I'm going to use him for the rest of the regular season here. So, and I don't want to do it today, even though I think he is going to have a good day and compete for the win. And that guy is Kyle freaking Busch, KFB. Won the Xfinity race yesterday. Remember, he won the Xfinity race at Coda as well before contending for a win at Coda. So I really do think that's going to help. He was also second in Cup practice to his brother Kurt. So they've unloaded quick. That's always a good sign for Kyle Busch. Plus, it seems like when there's practice and qualifying, Kyle Busch is at his best on top of it. I think we've really seen that over the last couple of years. Plus, he had the extra race to run in the Xfinity Series. So he had the extra lap time in the Xfinity Series. He was fast in practice to unload. I'm sure he's going to qualify near the front today as well. And he's also ran well in the road courses this season. He finished fifth in the last road course race at Sonoma. Finished 10th at Coda again. He contended for the win. They went with a strategy where they were going to pit, knowing they had to pit to the end of the race. But obviously, NASCAR called the race early with I can't remember how many laps were left, but they called the race early. He probably could have ran another 10 to 15 laps on fuel to the end, but they ended up pitting early. That costed him. He still got a top 10 out of it, which shows how much further ahead of the rest of the pack he was. But yeah, very high on Kyle Busch. He's also coming off of some very good momentum. He just won the last Cup race at Pocono last week, and then in the Pocono race before that, he finished second. So I mentioned when Kyle Busch won at Kansas that he is back. He has another win since then, so he's got two on the year now. He's won a couple stages since then as well. I think Kyle Busch, Rowdy, is back as far as on the racetrack goes. Because even before Kansas, those couple races before Kansas, Darlington was the big one where He in Richmond, where he just looked super fast, looked like he can contend for the win, and was running up front all day, leading into that Kansas win. So I think that Kansas win might have come to a little bit of a shock for some people, but he was very fast in a couple races prior to that. And then he won Kansas, and he's been good ever since. I think he's only got one finish outside the top 10 since then, since his first win at Kansas this season over the last 7 or 8 races. So he has been super high. It's not even like top 10. It's like he's competing for the win in a lot of those races. We talk about I think Kyle Larson winning all the time is kind of overshadowing what Kyle Busch has done. Kyle Busch has also climbed up into the top 5 in the point standings. He's fifth right now. He was 12th before he won at Kansas, and just again since then he's scoring a lot of stage points. He's getting good finishes. He's running up front, competing for wins. You have one usage, or I have one usage. Yeah, I have used all mine for Kyle Larson this year, and then I have one for Kyle Busch. But that's because I've been playing Busch a lot lately. Because I didn't play him a lot at the start of the year when he was struggling, but I've been playing him a lot lately, and he is been doing pretty good. I do think if you do have, um, honestly, if you have 3 or more usages out of Kyle Busch, I think you use him today because it'll be well worth it. I think he's going to compete for the win. Again, he's a must-have. I'm telling you guys to start him. The only reason I'm not is because I got one usage left. But if you definitely have 3 or more usages, use him because we only have 6 more races left after this. Daytona's one that you're probably not going to use him at. So you really only have 5 races you would even consider using Kyle Busch. And use him at his best racetracks from here on out. Another driver who is a must-have is going to be Joey Logano, as I saw down in the chat below. Who said that? R6, yes. Joey Logano is definitely a must-have. He unloaded pretty fast here this week once again. Um, Actually, no, he didn't. Never mind. He was 22nd in practice today. He doesn't have a lot of track experience at Road America, but his road course stats this season and pretty much in his career, he's got a win at Watkins Glen back in 2015. But outside of that, he doesn't win a lot on road courses, but he does at least either compete for a win or just gets a good finish. He's finished top 5 in all 3 road course races of the Cup Series this year. Daytona road course, he was leading on that late race restart, ended up fading there to Christopher Bell, who went on to win, but he finished second at the Daytona Road Course, then followed that up with a third place finish at COTA, and then a fourth place finish last month at Sonoma as well. So fourth or better in all 3 road course races so far this season. Even though they didn't unload very quick, I think he's definitely going to get a top 10 today. He's probably going to score some stage points as well. And even if he, say, doesn't qualify well, and it might be concerning on speed, I trust his crew chief, Paul Wolf. And I trust Logano is going to trust Paul Wolf that they're going to probably try that strategy at the end of stage 1 if they don't have track position where they're going to pit. That's going to give them a better starting spot for stage 2. Track position means a ton in any race, especially on these bigger racetracks, whether it's a road course or a bigger intermediate track like in Pocono, Indianapolis, tracks like that. So I think that'll help from stage 2 on, and he will be able to at least hold that to at least get a top 10, which would mean he would, I believe, be the only driver to finish in the top 10 in all 4 road course races this year if he could do that today. So good on Joey Logano. Chase Elliott is, of course, the final must-have, and I'm just going to say it right now. Chase Elliott is my pick to win. I'm playing it safe this week. No shock there. He just won a road course earlier this season at COTA. Not only he won that race, but he followed that up with a second place finish at Sonoma. He won a stage at the Daytona Road Course and actually led the most laps in that race before, of course, that late race caution for the sprinkles on the racetrack. They, again, probably shouldn't have thrown a yellow for that. But anyway, they did. And he ended up spinning there through the well, kind of saving it through the grass, but it lost him a lot of track position, damaged his race car, and he ended up with a very poor finish out of it. He was also competing for the win at the Daytona Road Course. Last lap, last corner in the chicane, was side by side for the race lead, and still finished second in that race too. So, again, if you count the Kalash 4 road course races this year, he's finished second or better. He's the most winningest driver on road courses of anybody in the Cup Series today, and he's got the best winning percentage on him as well. So it is definitely high on Chase Elliott to contend for a win today. He's my pick to win today's race. He does have success at this racetrack. He's got a top 5 in his very early Xfinity Series career. I think back in 2014 it was when I was looking earlier. He's got a top 5 here at Road America. So it's been a while since he's been here. And again, he unloaded pretty quick, like a lot of these other guys. Hendrick Motorsports as a whole doesn't look as quick as what they have recently, but Chase Elliott, I trust him. At 14th in practice, but if we look at the lap averages, I'm sure he's going to be up there. 5 lap average, he's sixth. Yeah, he was sixth in lap average there. So yeah, I trust Chase Elliott more than any other driver, and I trust a lot of these drivers this week. I think I got a pretty good lineup. Hopefully, this will give you guys a pretty good lineup as well here today. I'm gonna go get my breakfast now and then head to the racetrack so I can get there and get into my seat wherever I'm gonna be sitting. So there we go. In a hotel 10 minutes from the track, so watch the IndyCar race before heading to Road America. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm heading there early. Yeah, IndyCar's at Mid Ohio this week. I wanted to go to that, but I'm here, so I'm in Road America instead. So um, that's all right. NASCAR is my number one passion, my number one sport as well. But yeah, enjoy the IndyCar race, enjoy the NASCAR race. Here we go. But yeah, I'm heading to the track here pretty soon. Probably within a half hour, we're going to leave so I can get there before qualifying today. Managed to have 3 usages left for Kyle Busch. Yeah, definitely use him today. Then 3 or more, you absolutely have to use them. And then like Watkins Glen would probably be another good track to use him on. We'll have to see at the Indy Road Course after practice and qualifying if he's quick in that one. But if he is, I would probably use him there also. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for everybody tuning in here this morning. I know a lot of you guys probably aren't even up yet and probably not watching, but if you watch this afterwards, like, share, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We will have a post-race analysis video on the channel tomorrow for the post-race edition of the NASCAR Fantasy Podcast. All those predictions I just made for all 8 of those drivers. We'll see how that stacked up in the real race. We'll go in chronological order, talking about the race as a whole, my experience, because I will be at the track today for the Cup race at Road America as well, my overall trip experience. And yeah, it'll be a fun one. Usually about an hour long. So thanks for everybody tuning in here today. If you see me at the track, say hi. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Well, actually later tonight. Yeah, NASCAR Heat 5 career mode, Coke 600. Going to be a long race. That will be at some point tonight. No start time because, again, I'm going to be at the race. So it just depends what time I can get back to my hotel after all of the festivities here today. Enjoy your 4th of July. Enjoy your race weekend. And I'll see you guys a little bit later.